There is going to be some extra star power on hand tonight for Kamala Harris in Michigan. Oprah Winfrey will headline a virtual event live streaming across social media and aimed at getting people to register to vote. It's part of a packed September calendar of celebrity appearances for the Democratic ticket, including high-priced fundraisers with Lin-Manuel Miranda and Shonda Rhimes, receptions with Matt Damon, Robert De Niro, and Molly Ringwald, and Cooking for Kamala events with Jose Andres and Pat Lakshmi. With me now, New York Times political correspondent Teddy Schleifer and Jess O'Connell, former senior advisor to Pete Buttigieg, former CEO of the DNC, and former executive director of Emily's List. Teddy, you've been covering this for the Times for a while now. I wonder if you think the Harris campaign is unique or maybe ahead in how they've been using all these celebrity endorsements, or is it just that they have so many A-list endorsers? What do you make of the way they're using them?
Well, what Kamala Harris does not have is time. That's the resource that is diminishing, every second that we're on right now. And she needs people who can draw a crowd. There are the principals, right? There's Kamala Harris, there's Doug Emhoff, there's Tim and Gwen Walz. But then there's a few other people that can get people to show up for a dinner and pay, $50,000 a seat. And Harris wants to be able to spend her time in Michigan, in battleground states. And yet she also wants to do these high-dollar fundraising events. So then you have this tension. What are you going to do? Who's going to draw them to pay $50K for their chicken dinner? And that leaves you with surrogates. And surrogate fundraising is nothing new. But I think the Harris campaign is using them in a very, very concentrated amount over a very, very short amount of time, given, that her entire campaign is only a 3 or 4 month endeavor. She's going to trot these people out as quickly as she can so she can still do high-dollar fundraising while heading the campaign trail.
Jess, I wonder if it's unique to run against Donald Trump, no matter how many celebrity endorsements you may have, because he is a celebrity in his own right.
Yeah, he is a celebrity in his own right and in his own head. Look, I think these celebrities are important in part, as was mentioned, because of the condensed time frame. People still have to get to know Kamala Harris very, very quickly to make this decision and to really show up and get out there and vote. But celebrities and all of these surrogates that we're going to see, being deployed here in the next few weeks, it's really about a couple of things here that they're doing. It's obviously raising money, which was mentioned. That's really going to be important. Messaging, it's, people feel like they know and they trust some of these celebrities, and so they can reach more people with more messaging. And also there's a momentum factor here. Kamala Harris, from the beginning, since she got into this race, has had a lot of momentum. She's hit the mark on everything that we're watching, everything that we've been seeing around fundraising, the convention, the debate, all of these things, coalescing everybody. And now she's getting, culture involved and all of these people across all these different industries. And I think it creates excitement. And also I think it probably makes Donald Trump a little bit jealous and mad. And that's not a bad thing for them either.
Yeah, and obviously, Teddy, and you've written about this, Trump has fewer star endorsements than Harris, but I wonder if it could line up with his anti-elite narrative. We already know Republicans have this anti-Hollywood narrative. How's that all playing out?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we hear at the Times did some polling today about what Democrats and Republicans think about Taylor Swift, which was a question that's not really been asked much in public opinion research. And, there's a pretty wide partisan split, at least after the Swift endorsement of Harris, where you see lots of Republicans see these celebrities as, more Hollywood elites. And that's, in fact, has been the Trump campaign's messaging about all the star power at the DNC, for instance. Look, Trump has his own sort of surrogates of sort. I mean, his family has headline fundraisers. J.D. Vance really has taken the lion's share of the burden for campaign fundraising events. Trump himself and Harris herself are not really doing that many finance events. And I know that's been a source of some frustration, at least for Republicans, that Trump's fundraising events are usually at Trump properties. It's come to Mar-a-Lago, come to Bedminster. Trump has a couple events upcoming, and Harris has a couple events in California this weekend. But there's not a lot of time for, spending 3 hours coaxing the richest people in Cincinnati out of $3,300. So these surrogates matter because of the few people who have the time to go to Cincinnati.
Yeah, Jess, I'm looking again at this lineup of the celebrities who are coming up just in September, and we have to add to that, obviously, the presence, just the overriding presence of Taylor Swift. You notice a couple of things, right? You notice their diversity. You notice the age diversity. I don't know how many years there are between Robert De Niro and Taylor Swift, but it's more than a couple of decades. And you also notice sort of the diversity in who they are and what they do, right? You have people who cook, like Kamala Harris does. You have people largely in the theater world. You have writers. You have, obviously, movie and TV stars. Does that help, too, I wonder? Because they're trying to get people out and to give money. But if you're talking about getting people to register to vote, I remember would have been 8 years ago, because 4 years ago we had COVID, a bunch of Broadway stars were making calls in New York City where their names are actually known, whereas they might not necessarily be known in the rest of the country. Can you micro-target with these folks?
Yeah, of course. Look, I think this is micro-targeting. It's also macro. I mean, the reality is it's exactly what you said, Chris. This is multiracial, multi-generational, multi-gender. You are seeing a full swath of America. People forget, too. I mean, these celebrities come from places, right? They come from some of these states that are going to decide this election. They can go home. They can talk to people they grew up with. They know, have these conversations. I mean, it's really not nothing. Every vote is going to count and matter in this election. And you've mentioned Taylor Swift a few times. You know, Taylor Swift, I was lucky enough to go to one of her concerts this last summer. And, you know, those stadiums that she's packed, not just across the United States, but around the world, and the message that she brings around women and girls and what's happening, that is relevant to so many people right now. And I think that's why you saw this surge in voter registration right after she made her endorsement. You know, I think it was over 300,000 people registered to vote. When you're talking about margins in states that could be won by less than 10,000 votes, that's game-changing numbers. And I think when you put all of those celebrities that you're putting here and other surrogates too from other industries, business and sports and all of these things, everybody's impacted by this election, and we're going to see a lot more people coming out. And I think what you see from Kamala Harris is a wide swath of people that support her and that she will support no matter what.